وقل رب زدني علما.
Then we have the hadith of Ammar ibn Yasir رضي الله عنه قال: من صام اليوم الذي يشك فيه فقد عصى أبا القاسم. That a person who fasts on the day of doubt has disobeyed Abu al-Qasim. Abu al-Qasim is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu al-Qasim, Qasim, the name of the son of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the hadith says, whoever fasts on the day of doubt has disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The question then is, what is the day of doubt? Anybody? It is not the 29th of Sha'ban. You So what is the day of doubt? Who can explain what the day of doubt is?
When the moon is expected to be sighted, but it has not been sighted. So that day is either going to be 30th of Sha'ban or expected to be the first of Ramadan if the moon is sighted.
Almost, but need just a tiny bit more detail. So, right now, what month are we in, Islamically? Sha'ban, which is the 8th month of the Islamic calendar. We are currently in the 8th month of the Islamic calendar, Sha'ban. Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. So we're in Sha'ban right now. We know that Islamically a month is only ever going to be 29 or 30 days because they are lunar months. No such thing as 31 days. So it's either going to be 29 days or 30 days every month. So now we're in Sha'ban. Sha'ban could be 29 days. It may end up being 30 days. So on the 29th of Sha'ban of this month, 29th of this Islamic month, which is roughly, what's it going to be, 4th or 5th of May or something. On the 29th of Sha'ban, the Muslims across the world are going to go out to look for the new moon in case it comes out, and this month of Sha'ban only ends up being 29 days, and the next day ends up being Ramadan. So everybody goes out on the 29th of Sha'ban to see if the new moon is out. There are 3 possible scenarios as to what could occur. When the Muslims go out on the 29th of Sha'ban, there are 3 possible scenarios as to what could occur. So what are those 3 possible scenarios as to what could occur when the Muslims go out on the 29th of Sha'ban to sight the new moon? One straightforward scenario is that they see the new moon. Done. Next day is going to be Ramadan. That's a simple scenario. They go out on the 29th, they sight the moon. Done. Next day is going to be Ramadan. Second scenario, they go out there, it's a clear night, as clear as can be. And they look and they look and they search, but they don't see any moon, even though it's an absolute crystal clear night. Clear night. They search and there's no moon to be seen. So, with certainty they can say tomorrow is still Sha'ban because it was an absolute clear night. And there was no moon there, definitely no moon there. It was a clear night. They would have seen it if it was there. So now, that's an easy one too. Next day definitely gonna be 30th of Sha'ban still because it was a clear night and the moon definitely wasn't there. third scenario is what? They go out on the 29th of Sha'ban, but now it's a cloudy, overcast, foggy, misty, rainy night, dusty night. So now when they're looking, their vision is obstructed. And so they can't tell. They can't make out if the new moon is out there somewhere or not. In the first two scenarios, that wasn't an issue. In scenario number one, they saw it. Job done. In scenario number two, it was a clear night and they definitely didn't see it anywhere. So they're sure again it wasn't there. This scenario now is a problem. Because in this scenario, it's cloudy and overcast. So now when they are searching for the moon, they can't see it because it's cloudy, foggy, etc. So now, can they say for sure the moon wasn't there? They didn't see it. But then again, it's because there was so much cloud. Maybe the moon was there. Maybe it wasn't. So now the next day, what's the ruling gonna be? Now the next day is known as the day of doubt. In the first two scenarios, the next day is not known as the day of doubt. In the first scenario, it's obvious because the moon has been sighted. There is no doubt. It's Ramadan. In the second scenario, it was a clear night and they didn't see the moon anywhere. So there's no doubt. Why is there doubt? Clear night. They could tell the moon wasn't there. Clear everywhere. No moon to be seen. The doubt only arises when they go out on the 29th and it's cloudy and overcast and raining and dusty, etc. So now when they're looking, they can't tell if the moon is there or not. So now the next day is known as the day of doubt. Because the moon might have been there behind the clouds and everything. Then again, it may not have been there behind the clouds and everything. So now nobody knows whether the moon was there or not tonight. So now the next day, what's the ruling going to be? That's known as the day of doubt. What do you do? This hadith tells you that whoever fasts on the day of doubt has disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. من صام اليوم الذي يشك فيه فقد عصى أبا القاسم. Whoever fasts on the day of doubt, then he's disobeyed Abu al-Qasim. So on that day, you don't fast. In that third scenario, the next day, you consider it as the 30th of Sha'ban. You consider it as the 30th of Sha'ban. People may say, but how can you do that? What if the moon was there? How do you know? It was cloudy. What if the moon was there? Shouldn't we just start Ramadan next day just to be sure? The hadith says no. Don't fast on the day of doubt. And there are more proofs showing that you don't just start. You didn't see the moon, so you can't start even if it was cloud cover. And there are hadith which explain that. One of them is the hadith of Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhuma. He says, سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول, I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم say, إذا رأيتموه فصوموا وإذا رأيتموه فأفطروا فإن غم عليكم فاقدروا له. In this hadith, which is in Al-Bukhari and Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, when you see it, then start fasting. When you see it, it is what? The moon. When you see the new moon, then start Ramadan. And when you see it again, end Ramadan. Meaning do Eid. And then the hadith says in Bukhari and Muslim, فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ. And if it's covered up, cloud and fog and rain, if it's covered up, in غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَقَدُرُوا لَهُ. Then estimate. question is, what does estimate it mean? That is also clarified, explained in Bukhari and Muslim. In Muslim it says, فَإِذَا أُغْمِيَ عَلَيْكُمْ فَقُدُرُوا لَهُ ثَلَاثِينَ. If it's covered up, you can't see, then estimate it as 30. Estimate what as 30? Sha'ban. In Bukhari it says, فَأَكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ ثَلَاثِينَ. If it's covered up, then complete 30 days. Of what? Sha'ban. But in both of those narrations, it doesn't actually mention Sha'ban. So what if somebody starts saying, no, the 30 is talking about Ramadan or something like that? Then you can tell them, actually, there's another hadith in Bukhari of Abu Hurairah, where it says, فَأَكْمِلُوا عِدَّةَ شَعْبَانَ ثَلَاثِينَ. Complete the days of Sha'ban as 30. Very clear that means. If it's covered up on the 29th of Sha'ban and you can't see, the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim is telling you, then finish off Sha'ban as 30 days and fast from the day afterwards. Fast from the day afterwards. So this means on the 29th of Sha'ban, when the Muslims go out looking for the new moon and it's all covered up and cloudy and they can't tell, that the ruling for the next day is, it's known as the day of doubt because you couldn't tell, but that you do not make it the first of Ramadan. You leave it as the 30th of Sha'ban because you haven't seen the moon. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُ فَصُومُوا. When you see it, then start fasting. Have we seen it? We didn't see it. What if somebody comes along, as some mosques do every year, and they say, on the 29th of Sha'ban, when it's all covered up and cloudy and no moon sighting is possible, it's overcast, we can't see a thing. And so according to the Sunnah, next day we're supposed to leave it as 30th of Sha'ban and start fasting the day after. But they say on that 29th of Sha'ban night, when it's cloudy, they say, but the Met Office and on Google, it said the new moon is out tonight. On the NASA website, they said the new moon is out tonight. On BBC Weather, it said the new moon is out tonight. Google Weather, it says the new moon is out tonight. So even though we couldn't see it because of all the clouds, all the information is telling us the moon is actually out tonight. So we have to fast tomorrow, they say. What do we say about that? We say that this is the problem with the Muslims. They don't follow the Sunnah, they follow their own brains instead. Where in the Sunnah does it tell you go to Google and go to the astronomers and go find out from the science and the telescopes? Hadith tells you very clearly, if it's covered up and you can't see, then just leave the next day as 30th of Sha'ban. Simple as that. Bukhari and Muslim. And then fast the day after that. Who told you go to NASA website and go to the astronomers, astrologers, go to weather websites and go this website, that website and find out the moon is there, the moon is not there? Who told you to do all of those things? Our religion of Islam and our month of Ramadan is not based upon NASA website. It's not based upon BBC weather website. It's not based upon those things. It's based upon hadith, sunnah. And the sunnah tells you, go and look for the moon. If you see it, okay, start. If you don't see it, you don't start. Leave the next day as the 30th of Sha'ban. And then start the day after that. People may say, but that's because in those days they never had all these scientific methods. And now we do, so we should use them. That is also a lie and also ignorance from people. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they had the skills and the ability to make calculations. They used to be experts in the movement of the moon. There used to be people at that time, 1400 years ago, experts in the movement of the moon. And they could give you calculations if you wanted them. They could give you calculations and tell you, even though it's covered up, from all of our maths and all of our calculations, the moon should be out there tonight. They could give you those calculations in those times. They used to exist. That's known in history. But the Prophet ﷺ, if it was a covered up night on the 29th, did he ever used to say, go bring those experts, let's see what their calculations are saying? Go bring them, let's see what they think on their calculations, should the moon be out tonight or not? Never ever. Because that is not the way of the Sunnah to decide whether Ramadan starts or not. So it is not a Sunnah method to go to NASA website and BBC website and this website and that website and say the moon is there. They're saying the moon's going to be out tonight. That's got nothing to do with Ramadan beginning or not. Even if every website says the moon is there, if no Muslim spot it across the world, then tomorrow we are not going to do Ramadan, even if NASA website says the moon is there. That is not our religion, these websites and these science and these estimations. Our religion is based upon what the Quran and the Sunnah told us to do. But the Muslims, they can't do that. This is the problem. They can't stick to the Sunnah. They can't stick to the Sunnah, even though they all claim, of course, we are sticking to Quran and Sunnah. Then stick to the Hadith in Al-Bukhari and Muslim, so simple. That's the reason you have all these differences in Eid and differences when Ramadan starts. That's one of the reasons. Because half of the Muslims can't help themselves. Hadith tells you very clearly, don't start until you see it. They say, but the website says the moon's there, let's just start. Make the announcement, we start tomorrow. Then they are the ones who have made the problem. If they all stuck to these narrations, then there'd be less problem. So here, this is what Bukhari and Muslim is telling you. If you go out there and it's cloudy, the Hadith says, it's cloudy, it's covered up, you can't see, then leave Sha'ban as 30 days. Then start Ramadan after that. Clear in the narrations.